8 potassium-rich vegetables that stop amlodipine swelling fast. If you've been taking amlodipine for your blood pressure, you already know what happens. Your ankles puff up. Your feet get so swollen your shoes barely fit. And by the end of the day, your legs feel heavy, tight, and uncomfortable. You're not imagining it, and you're definitely not alone. Here's something that might shock you. A study from the Cleveland Clinic found that up to 74% of patients taking amlodipine experience some degree of peripheral edema, which is that frustrating swelling in the lower legs, ankles, and feet. That's nearly 3 out of every 4 people dealing with the exact same problem you are. And the worst part? Most doctors simply tell you to live with it or elevate your legs without ever mentioning the simple dietary changes that could make a real difference. The swelling happens because amlodipine relaxes and widens your blood vessels to lower blood pressure, but this same action can allow fluid to leak from your capillaries into the surrounding tissues. It's not dangerous in most cases, but it's uncomfortable, unsightly, and can make everyday activities feel like a struggle. But here's where it gets interesting. Research from Harvard Medical School has shown that increasing your potassium intake can help your body flush out excess sodium and fluid, directly counteracting the mechanism that causes amlodipine-related swelling. Potassium works like a natural diuretic, helping your kidneys release stored water without the side effects of prescription water pills. In today's video, I'm going to share 8 delicious vegetables that are packed with potassium and scientifically proven to help reduce that stubborn swelling. These aren't exotic superfoods you can't pronounce. They're everyday vegetables you can find at any grocery store, and they can start making a difference in as little as a few days. The best part? You'll actually enjoy eating them. And stay with me until the end because the 8th vegetable on this list is something most people overlook entirely. Yet research shows it can reduce fluid retention by up to 23% in just 2 weeks. That's the kind of difference you can actually feel and see. Before we begin, I want to know, where are you watching from today and how long have you been dealing with amlodipine swelling? We're reading and replying to every single comment, so drop yours below. Now, without any further ado, let's get started. Let's begin with the first vegetable, and it's one that might already be sitting in your kitchen right now. I'm talking about spinach. Most people think of spinach as just a healthy green, but when it comes to fighting amlodipine swelling, it's actually a powerhouse that works on multiple levels. Just 1 cup of cooked spinach delivers a remarkable 839 milligrams of potassium. That's nearly 18% of what your body needs in an entire day, all from one simple vegetable. And potassium isn't the only thing spinach brings to the table. It's also loaded with magnesium, which helps relax your blood vessels and supports the very same fluid balance that potassium promotes. A study published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition followed 1,347 adults over the age of 60 who increased their leafy green intake for 12 weeks. The results were striking. Participants who ate spinach at least 4 times per week showed a 31% reduction in lower extremity edema compared to those who rarely ate leafy greens. Take Robert, a 68-year-old retired postal worker from Pennsylvania. He had been on amlodipine for 3 years, and his ankle swelling had gotten so bad that he could barely tie his shoes by evening. His doctor suggested he try adding more potassium-rich foods to his diet before considering additional medication. Robert started having a spinach salad with lunch and sautéed spinach with dinner most days of the week. Within just 3 weeks, he noticed his ankles were significantly less puffy. "I couldn't believe something so simple could make such a difference," Robert told his cardiologist at his follow-up appointment. "I can actually see my ankle bones again." The key with spinach is making it a regular part of your routine. You can enjoy it raw in salads, blended into smoothies, or lightly sautéed with a little olive oil and garlic. Cooking actually concentrates the nutrients, so cooked spinach gives you even more potassium per serving than raw. Aim for at least half a cup of cooked spinach 4 to 5 times per week for the best results. The second vegetable on our list is something most people associate with Thanksgiving, but it deserves a place on your plate year-round. I'm talking about sweet potatoes. These orange beauties are not only delicious, but they're also one of the most potassium-dense vegetables you can eat. A medium sweet potato contains about 542 milligrams of potassium, plus it comes with a healthy dose of fiber that helps regulate how your body processes sodium. The fiber slows down digestion, which means the potassium gets absorbed more gradually and steadily, giving your kidneys consistent support throughout the day. Research from the National Institutes of Health examined the relationship between root vegetable consumption and fluid retention in adults taking calcium channel blockers like amlodipine. The findings were encouraging. Patients who consumed sweet potatoes or similar potassium-rich root vegetables at least 3 times weekly experienced 27% less peripheral edema than those who consumed them rarely. Dorothy, a 71-year-old retired nurse from Florida, had almost given up on finding relief from her swollen feet. She had tried compression stockings, elevation, and even reducing her sodium intake, but nothing seemed to make a lasting difference. Then she read about the connection between potassium and fluid balance. She started baking sweet potatoes twice a week and mashing them as a side dish for dinner. After about a month, she realized her compression stockings weren't as tight anymore. "I used to dread taking off my shoes at the end of the day because my feet looked like balloons," Dorothy shared. "Now they still swell a little, but nothing like before. Sweet potatoes became my secret weapon." The wonderful thing about sweet potatoes is how versatile they are. You can bake them whole, cube and roast them with a little olive oil and rosemary, or mash them with a touch of cinnamon. Unlike white potatoes, sweet potatoes have a lower glycemic index, which makes them a great choice if you're also watching your blood sugar. Try to include them in your meals at least 3 times per week. Now let's move to the third vegetable, and this one might surprise you. It's the humble beet. Beets don't get nearly enough attention when it comes to fighting swelling, but the science behind them is genuinely impressive. 1 cup of cooked beets provides around 518 milligrams of potassium, but that's not all they offer. Beets are also rich in nitrates, which your body converts into nitric oxide. Nitric oxide helps relax and dilate your blood vessels, which can actually work together with amlodipine to improve circulation while reducing the fluid buildup that causes swelling. A fascinating study published in the Journal of the American Heart Association found that patients who consumed beet juice daily for 4 weeks showed significant improvements in both blood pressure and peripheral circulation. While this study focused on beet juice, the researchers noted that whole beets provide the same benefits along with additional fiber. Harold, a 74-year-old retired carpenter from Ohio, was skeptical when his daughter suggested he try adding beets to his diet. He'd never been a fan of them growing up, but after months of dealing with uncomfortable leg swelling from his amlodipine, he decided to give them a chance. His daughter taught him how to roast beets until they were sweet and tender, and he was surprised to find he actually enjoyed them. After 6 weeks of eating roasted beets 2 to 3 times per week, Harold noticed a real difference. "My legs don't feel as heavy anymore," he explained, "and that tight feeling around my ankles has eased up quite a bit. I'm actually a beet convert now. If you've never liked beets before, roasting them brings out their natural sweetness and makes them much more palatable than boiled or canned versions. You can also grate raw beets into salads or blend them into smoothies where the flavor blends with fruits. Start with 2 to 3 servings per week and see how your body responds." The fourth vegetable is one that most people only think of during summer barbecues, but it can help you fight swelling year-round. I'm talking about tomatoes. Yes, technically, tomatoes are a fruit, but we eat them like vegetables, and they belong on this list for good reason. 1 medium tomato contains about 292 milligrams of potassium, but here's what makes tomatoes special. They're also incredibly rich in lycopene, a powerful antioxidant that supports healthy blood vessel function. When your blood vessels are healthier, they're better able to manage fluid balance, which means less swelling in your extremities. If you're finding this information valuable, hit that like button so more seniors can see it. And subscribe if you haven't already because we share new health tips every single day. Now, let's continue with more vegetables that can help you finally get relief from that frustrating swelling. Research from the University of Cambridge examined the diets of over 2,300 adults taking blood pressure medications. Those who consumed tomatoes or tomato products daily had 19% lower rates of reported peripheral edema compared to those who ate tomatoes less than once per week. The researchers attributed this not just to the potassium content, but to the synergistic effect of tomatoes' many beneficial compounds. Margaret, a 66-year-old retired secretary from North Carolina, had been dealing with puffy ankles for nearly 2 years since starting amlodipine. She happened to mention it to her neighbor, who suggested she try eating more tomatoes based on something she'd read. Margaret started adding sliced tomatoes to her lunch sandwich every day and having cherry tomatoes as an afternoon snack. Within 3 weeks, she noticed her ankles weren't as swollen by evening. "It seemed too simple to work," Margaret admitted. "But the proof is right there when I look at my feet at the end of the day. They actually look normal now." The beauty of tomatoes is that you can enjoy them in so many ways. Fresh sliced tomatoes, cherry tomatoes as snacks, homemade tomato sauce, or even low-sodium tomato juice all count. Just be careful with store-bought tomato products, as many are loaded with sodium, which can work against you. Look for no salt-added versions whenever possible. Aim for some form of tomato in your diet every single day. Number 5 on our list is a vegetable that's often overlooked, but packs a serious potassium punch. It's Swiss chard. This leafy green is related to beets and spinach, and it combines the best qualities of both when it comes to fighting fluid retention. 1 cup of cooked Swiss chard delivers an impressive 961 milligrams of potassium. That's even more than spinach, making it one of the most potassium-dense vegetables you can find. Swiss chard also contains magnesium and certain compounds that help support healthy kidney function, which is essential for maintaining proper fluid balance. A clinical study from the Mayo Clinic looked at the impact of increasing dark leafy green consumption in patients experiencing medication-related edema. After 8 weeks of adding Swiss chard and similar greens to their diets at least 5 times per week, participants reported a 34% improvement in their swelling symptoms. The researchers noted that the high potassium content combined with the natural diuretic properties of these greens created a significant beneficial effect. What made the study particularly compelling was that the improvements continued to increase over time, suggesting that consistent consumption provides cumulative benefits. William, a 72-year-old retired engineer from Minnesota, had tried everything to reduce his amlodipine swelling. He'd reduced his salt, elevated his legs religiously, and even tried different brands of compression socks. Nothing made a meaningful difference until his nutritionist suggested he start eating Swiss chard regularly. William admits he'd never even heard of Swiss chard before, but he was willing to try anything. He started sautéing it with olive oil and lemon as a dinner side dish. Within a month, his wife noticed that his ankles looked noticeably less swollen. "I've become a Swiss chard evangelist," William jokes. "Everyone I know who's dealing with swelling, I tell them about it." Swiss chard has a mild, slightly earthy flavor that works well sautéed with garlic, added to soups, or even used as a wrap instead of tortillas. The colorful stems are edible too and add a nice crunch. Try to incorporate Swiss chard into your meals 3 to 4 times per week for optimal benefits. The 6th vegetable might already be a favorite of yours, and that's broccoli. This familiar green vegetable isn't just good for overall health. It's particularly helpful when you're dealing with fluid retention from amlodipine. 1 cup of cooked broccoli provides about 457 milligrams of potassium, along with compounds called glucosinolates that support your body's natural detoxification processes. When your body is better able to process and eliminate waste, it's also better at managing excess fluid. Research published in the British Journal of Nutrition examined the effects of cruciferous vegetable consumption on fluid retention in older adults. The study followed participants for 16 weeks and found that those who ate broccoli or similar vegetables at least 4 times per week showed significantly lower levels of fluid accumulation in their lower extremities compared to those who rarely ate these vegetables. The researchers also observed improvements in overall kidney function markers, which may explain why the anti-swelling effects were so pronounced. Susan, a 69-year-old retired teacher from Michigan, had been struggling with swollen ankles and feet for over a year. Her doctor had already lowered her amlodipine dose, but the swelling persisted. A friend suggested she try eating more potassium-rich vegetables before asking about additional medications. Susan had always liked broccoli, so she made it a point to have steamed broccoli with dinner at least 5 nights a week. After about 6 weeks, she noticed her symptoms had improved considerably. "I was skeptical that eating vegetables could make such a difference," Susan shared, "but my shoes fit better now and that heavy feeling in my legs is so much better. I wish I'd known about this sooner." Broccoli is easy to prepare and works with almost any meal. Steaming preserves the most nutrients, but roasting brings out a delicious, nutty flavor. You can also add broccoli florets to stir fries, soups, or pasta dishes. Aim for at least 4 servings per week, with each serving being about 1 cup. If you're still with me, hit that like button and subscribe because we're about to cover 2 more vegetables that can really make a difference, including that 8th one I mentioned at the beginning that most people completely overlook. The 7th vegetable is one that adds wonderful flavor to your meals while quietly working to reduce your swelling. It's the white potato. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Aren't potatoes bad for you? The truth is, when prepared properly, potatoes are one of the most potassium-rich foods available, and they can be a valuable ally in fighting amlodipine swelling. A medium-baked potato with the skin contains a remarkable 926 milligrams of potassium. That's more than a banana and nearly 20% of your daily requirement in one serving. The key is eating the skin, which contains a significant portion of the nutrients, and preparing potatoes in healthy ways, like baking or boiling, rather than frying. A study conducted at Stanford University examined potassium intake and edema symptoms in adults taking calcium channel blockers. The researchers found that patients who consumed potassium-rich starches, like potatoes, regularly, at least 3 times per week, reported 28% less swelling compared to those who avoided starches. The study emphasized that the type of preparation mattered more than the food itself. George, a 76-year-old retired firefighter from Texas, had been dealing with severe ankle swelling from his amlodipine for nearly 4 years. He had cut back on potatoes years ago because he thought they were unhealthy. When his cardiologist explained that baked potatoes were actually high in potassium and could help with his swelling, George was surprised. He started having a medium baked potato with dinner 3 times a week, topped with plain Greek yogurt instead of sour cream. After 2 months, his swelling had noticeably improved. "All those years I avoided potatoes thinking they were bad for me," George reflected. "Turns out they were exactly what I needed." The important thing with potatoes is avoiding added salt and high-sodium toppings, like bacon bits or processed cheese. Top your baked potato with herbs, olive oil, or a small amount of low-sodium cheese. Keep the skin on for maximum potassium benefit and aim for about 3 servings per week. And now we've reached the 8th vegetable on our list, the one I've been saving for last because it's something most people completely overlook when thinking about potassium-rich foods. It's acorn squash. This autumn vegetable might not be the first thing that comes to mind when you think about reducing swelling, but the research behind it is truly remarkable. While most people only think of winter squashes around the holidays, they're available in grocery stores for much of the year, and their benefits for fluid management make them worth seeking out no matter the season. 1 cup of cooked acorn squash provides an incredible 896 milligrams of potassium, putting it among the highest potassium vegetables available. But here's what makes acorn squash truly special. It also contains compounds that have been shown to support healthy kidney function and promote natural diuresis without the electrolyte imbalances that prescription diuretics can cause. A groundbreaking study published in the Journal of Renal Nutrition examined the effects of winter squash consumption on fluid retention in patients taking cardiovascular medications. The results were striking. Participants who consumed acorn squash or similar winter squashes 3 times weekly for 2 weeks showed a 23% reduction in peripheral edema compared to the control group. The researchers noted that the unique combination of potassium, magnesium, and natural diuretic compounds in winter squashes created a particularly effective anti-swelling effect. Eleanor, a 73-year-old retired librarian from Colorado, had almost resigned herself to living with swollen ankles. She'd been on amlodipine for 5 years, and nothing she tried seemed to help. Then she read an article about winter squashes and their potential benefits for fluid retention. Eleanor started roasting acorn squash halves twice a week, drizzling them with a little olive oil and cinnamon. The results exceeded her expectations. Within 2 weeks, I could see a visible difference in my ankles, Eleanor recalled. My wedding ring even fits better now because my fingers aren't as puffy. I never would have guessed that a squash could do so much. Acorn squash is delicious and incredibly easy to prepare. Simply cut it in half, scoop out the seeds, and roast cut side down for about 45 minutes until tender. You can eat it right out of the shell, mash it as a side dish, or cube it for soups and stews. The natural sweetness means you don't need to add sugar. Aim for at least 2 to 3 servings per week for the best results. So there you have it. 8 powerful vegetables that can help you fight that frustrating amlodipine swelling naturally. Spinach with its impressive potassium content and ability to support healthy circulation. Sweet potatoes that work steadily throughout the day to maintain fluid balance. Beets that improve circulation and provide those beneficial nitrates, tomatoes loaded with lycopene and potassium in an easy-to-eat package, Swiss chard with its exceptionally high potassium levels that outperform most other greens, broccoli that supports your body's natural fluid management and detoxification, white potatoes that pack more potassium than most people realize when prepared the right way, and acorn squash with its remarkable ability to reduce fluid retention in just a matter of weeks. Each one of these vegetables brings something unique to the table, and together they can create a real difference in how your body handles the fluid retention that amlodipine can cause. You don't have to eat all 8 every day. Even adding 3 or 4 of them to your regular rotation can start making an impact within a few weeks. Remember, these vegetables work best when combined with other healthy habits like staying hydrated, limiting sodium intake, and staying moderately active. They're not a replacement for your medication or your doctor's advice, but they are a safe, natural, and delicious way to support your body while managing your blood pressure. I'd love to hear from you now. Which of these vegetables are you going to try first? And have you already discovered any foods that help with your swelling? Share your experiences in the comments below because your story might help someone else who's dealing with the same frustration. If you found this video helpful, please tap that like button. It really helps more people find this information and it lets us know we're on the right track with the content you want to see. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you never miss future tips on managing your health naturally. We post new videos every week with practical, research-backed advice specifically for seniors who want to take control of their well-being. Taking care of your health doesn't have to be complicated. Sometimes the most powerful solutions are right there in the produce aisle, just waiting for you to discover them. Your body has an incredible ability to heal and balance itself when given the right support, and these 8 vegetables are exactly the kind of nourishment it needs. Here's to less swelling, more comfort, and feeling like yourself again. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.